On a hill overlooking Lake Travis in Leander, Betty and Gerald Ronga built their house of two dreams. It was also the dream spot for Betty's garden visions, hampered by shade in their Austin home. She spent hours on Meditation Rock, designing the space where she could grow everything under the sun. But before she planted even one thing, she concentrated on travel patterns, water flow, and drainage.
In the front, well, when we put the courtyard in, we obviously, again, on rock, solid rock, and we had to figure out, Betty is the water diversion genius, you know, and so she looked at it all, and I had some fellows come in and put a lot of dirt in, and she had them grading it and deciding how we were going to get the water to run off, and she graded it and had it run off kind of on each side of the main entrance with two little dry creek beds, and had to put a hole in the courtyard wall to get out one side and through the gate on the other, and it's worked beautifully. So when it comes to routing water around, this is this is the lady you want. She thinks about that anytime she starts working on any gardening project. She's thinking about where the water's coming from and where it's going to go.
The courtyard was inspired by their many trips to Mexico, starting on their honeymoon.
We had spent so many years going to Mexico and loving the country. In the summer, we put the Cuban or Mexican music on, get a couple of beers, and we're right here.
In back, the first job was to restore the view.
The land was covered with cedar trees. The land was absolutely impassable. I'm not sure you could have reached this point without shimmying between cedars to get out to that rock. When we first saw it, we had no idea what was out there. We didn't even know there was a view. Total cedar, thick with cedar. That's what the land was like when we got here. We left cedar as much as we could on the sidelines to keep the diversity of trees.
Betty designed their pool to follow the lines of the distant, though depleted, Lake Travis. But the dolphin boulder was pure serendipity. Betty also designed a pond to bring wildlife right up close. A mound of rocks from the pool and pond excavation inspired an idea. Betty covered them with soil as an ever-changing frame of wildflowers. Betty's pathway design accounted for drainage, along with wheelbarrow traffic. Instead of stairs, she terraced with sloping walkways that disperse water. Good quality landscape fabric underneath and bordering rocks keeps the soil in place. Thanks to water and plant diversity, rather than a singular crowd of ash junipers, Betty's restored wildlife diversity.
It is an assault on your senses when you come out here. From the birds that are, constantly running back and forth. We get vultures here that will dive bomb along the slope of the roof and out over the pool and just put on a show in the evenings. The colors, especially on an overcast day after it just rained, are just, we pinch ourselves a lot. I mean, we've been here 7.5 years and we take nothing for granted. This is just a beautiful piece of property, and Betty has transformed it into a Garden of Eden.
For the kitchen, it's also a true Garden of Eden.
She's got 2 huge plastic containers, and she will come in with stacked to the top, say, "Okay, here you go," and then she'll disappear. And I think, "Oh, don't one. All I want is one. I don't want you to bring 2. I'm cooking in there for 2 hours trying to get the, and we freeze them, cook them lightly so they're still, just blanched kind of thing, and then get them in the freezer bags and put them in the freezer and freeze them, and we've got, I don't know, still a dozen, 14 bags of meals and meals of greens that just thaw out and have fresh organic greens. It's great. It is great, but it's, one pot at a time, dear. One pot at a time.
One of her techniques is recycling newspaper for mini dams to concentrate water around her fruit trees. And in this house of 2 dreams, golf meets gardening.
Well, early on, we decided that we were interested in golf and gardens. And I wasn't interested so much in the garden part. And so any vacation or trip we took had to involve going to a garden, a botanical garden, a private garden, something, for every round of golf I wanted to play. So on an early trip we took to Scotland, I got Betty to play around the golf with me, and then we took in a garden. And we ended up going to a place called Inverewe Gardens in the very north, up above Gerald, Scotland, that it was the moment, I guess everybody has a moment where they decide, instead of trudging along, like take me to a mall, I'm not interested, I'm tired immediately. Let me walk 6 miles on a golf course carrying my bag, as long as I'm hitting a white ball, no problem, I'm okay. But we went to this garden and it was acres and acres of things, and I just fell in love with it.
That day long ago prompted their garden putting green.
I now have the best of both worlds, golf and gardens.
Collaboration on dreams makes them come true. Wrangling them to reality can be another story, but it's just part of what really makes a house of 2 dreams.
Mexico and Latin America were the inspiration for the house and the design.
When we started, we were dreaming.
And when we started,
we were building, nightmare.
When we started, we were dreaming, right? We could put another sign right next to it.